Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of My Life as a Vlog. This will be episode number 3, and I will be talking about nostalgia and how it plays heavily in my life, and I'm sure people around my age, mid to late 30s. I just turned 40, so mid to late 30s. I really don't care about age, but how that nostalgia plays heavily on the world around us and how things are being reimagined, reinvented, and re-released. I got myself a new Trapper Keeper with the beautiful 90s type design. You can get these off of Amazon. I think you can just get about just anything on Amazon. I like to write everything down. If you don't know that about me, you will soon. So I usually make notes of what I want to talk about in these vlogs. I have my own blog. If you haven't checked it out, I will be linking it below in the description. My website, my blog, my Facebook, and all the other social medias. I also have a podcast that is called That 80s Child, The Generation Y. And I have 2 seasons out. The second season, I kept promising 11 or 12 episodes, and I think I got 10. A lot of stuff has been going on, so you're lucky to get 10, but I'm going to start that back up in April. So out of everything that I've done, the podcast has been pretty popular. So if you haven't or don't know about it, check it out. Welcome to my living room. I wanted to change up the ambiance, and I'm a little bit more comfortable down here on my sofa. And you'll probably see or hear my dogs, so that's okay because they're my babies. And Tahoe, this is Tahoe. He likes to lay behind me, but so nostalgia. I knew at the time when I was growing up that everything that I was playing with, that everything that I was doing was going to be something that I was going to be reminiscing about at a later date. I don't know if it's because my parents were heavily into their generational music and way of life and them talking about it and their constant reflection on the good old days. I often wonder that the Gen Zs and the ones that come thereafter will experience the same. I'm not entirely sure because I see, and it kind of hurts me a little bit, but on TikTok there are people who are saying going to high school in 2007, and I'm like, I had already graduated 6 years prior to that. I graduated in 2001, so I was just hitting the 2000s. So it's just oh, we're there already? That is classified as nostalgia? Because I really don't feel like 2007 is that long ago, but it's 15 years ago. So, yeah. But, it's an odd thing because I don't really know if that generation will have things specific to them. Because I feel like it's just like this. There might be, obviously, political, if you're going to look down that end, inflation, how the housing market is, and the pandemic, if you want to classify that as nostalgic. It's, I don't know. I don't know if maybe it's just me looking at it in a sense of we had this, that, and the other thing, and playing outside, and we had a lot more toys rather than all these electronics. But then again, I'm sure, and I know that my mom and dad said the same things about when they were growing up. They only had a stick and a ball, or just how it was simpler then. And we could say the same about our generation as millennials or Gen Ys as being simpler. I'm not entirely sure. But I guess we'll find out when it gets to their turn to be like, do you remember when? So, yes, my podcast is all about remember when. But what I wanted to discuss in this vlog was that how it affects us in a normal life setting, because this is a vlog about my life and possibly being the life of whoever's listening, and like maybe you have some similarities. If not, maybe just some laughs because of how crazy my life has been. But when I get nostalgic, it's usually when it comes to a song or a smell or just a specific, maybe like combination of all of those things. Or perhaps, definitely during the Christmas time, listening to Nat King Cole, the Christmas song. That makes me heavily nostalgic because my mom would always play, that would always be on. Not the same song over and over again, but it was a favorite song that was played during the holidays. And it reminds me of the time when my dad was alive and my brother and I were little, and just thinking about all of the things that we felt, that anticipation, the warmth, the smell of cookies, and it was just magic. And I know a lot of people say the same thing, because when you get older, you become Santa. When you get older, it's more along the lines of that responsible adult, making sure that their kids or whoever they entertain for that holiday season feels the way it was for them when they were younger. I don't believe that I've ever captured the same feeling for my son as I did when I was younger, but perhaps not, because he even has said to me, like, oh, that reminds me of the days. And I'm like, what days? Because to me, the days are before he was born, and like the days of yore. But for him, it's this like, the same cookie smells, because I do bake the same cookies that my mom always did. We'll listen to the music, and we'll have like the heavily scented pine candles, and we used to have a real Christmas tree up until we moved, and so I know that he is nostalgic for a real Christmas tree because we haven't had one in a couple of years. So I guess in those cases it's that way, but I wanted to put it out there. I have a blog about it, and it was called I have no idea what it's called. I suck. But I will link it. I will link the actual blog below, but it was about music and memories. How it just takes you back to that moment. Like you'll hear a song and you'll all of a sudden just be transported back to that point. So like the song No Rain by Blind Melon. My mom played that song to hell. Excuse my language, but she played it a lot, and it is, when I listen to that song, I think of summertime, the smell of suntan lotion and chlorine because of the pool, and my mom's white boombox that she would plug in near the pool to have music going, and that would be one of the songs that she'd have in continuous rotation. Or we would be listening to 93.3 WMMR, which is a Philadelphia radio station. If you haven't heard it, they do stream online. They have live DJs all the time, so they're pretty awesome. They have Preston and Steve. If you haven't heard of them, then I suggest checking them out. They're pretty awesome. And Pierre Robert, who has been a DJ for over 40 years, I think, if not longer, at the same radio station. So he's pretty much been the DJ of my life, because my mom listened to them all the time, even before my brother was born and we were living in Pennsylvania. And she would dance me around the pool to ZZ Top, She's Got Legs, listening to MMR and Pierre Robert. And Other things that remind me, the smell of leather. I was heavily into horse competition, not by choice. I don't like competition, especially horse competition. People get, I think any competition, people get real competitive. I'm not a competitive person. Um, I'm not like, let's all sing Kumbaya. I do get a little bit of competitiveness. Like, I do want to win, but it's not to the point where I'm like, pushing people over, tripping them, or scowling at them. I'm like, may the best person win, like, and if I'm not the best, then I'm not the best. Okay. I'm not a sore loser, and I think these people are, and they're a sore winner too. But we had to go to a horse, what would it be, like it was a shop that had all of the tackle, and your, like, the helmet that you had to wear. You had to wear a special helmet, because I'm a special person. The leather boots, and we had lots of saddles, so it was all leather. And so if I smell that specific, like, it's like a specific leather, I don't even know how to explain it, but it just reminds me of all that time of, like, riding and the competitions and getting up, like, ridiculously early, and it being freezing cold, and you weren't allowed to wear a coat. You had to wear, like, the blazer. So it's like, below zero outside, and you're freezing your tootsies off, and trying to get your horse to walk around in a perfect circle, and it's just like, can I just get down? What is this? This is crazy. But excuse my hair, it's kind of like, I brushed it, so it doesn't look too bad, but I have it down, so I always mess with it, and it's annoying. I need to get a cut. My hair is getting way too long. Another piece of nostalgia. My hair used to be down past my knees. I had 18 inches cut off when I was in 6th grade. So now I like long hair, but I like it shorter. It's a little bit more manageable. And then when it gets really long, it gets heavy, and it just looks like it's just really flat. Although I prefer it flatter, just because I used to have, like, ridiculously curly hair, and I was made fun of for it. So, like, I have, like, this PTSD for, like, having a bigger hair, and it's I know right nowadays it really doesn't matter, but it's just something I think about constantly. Oh, and the other reason why leather gets me, there are 2 flashbacks for nostalgic moments. Some of it good with the horses, because I loved riding. Not the competition part, but I loved riding. But the other thing was the first days of school, and especially in elementary school, we had to, because I went to a Catholic school, so our uniform included saddle shoes. If you don't know what they are, look them up. I'm going to try and edit this video to include pictures, some flashbacks. I'm going to try and get a little bit more creative so that it keeps you engaged instead of just a talking head, although I know vlogs can just be that way. But I want to get a little fancy with it, but I'm not going to have flashy lights and, like, welcome, I'm not going to get, like, that's not me. I'm pretty chill for the most part. So yeah, the saddle shoes, I'll find a photo of it, and then flash. Anyway, so they're leather, and you also had to put, like, oh my god, because they were like a maroon color, like a really dark maroon, and you had to have, like, the polish that was that color, so there's, like, that smell. And that reminds me of, like, the first day of school, because everybody had those new saddle shoes that you had to buy at Simon & Schuster's, I think it was called. And that was the first day of school, because everything was, like, fresh. But I hated school, so it's not a great memory. So nostalgic memories hit us in different ways. I know that watching my old VHS tapes of home videos, which I really must get digitalized, because I know that the VHS tapes will disintegrate at some point in my life, or my son's life. The fact that they've lasted this long is pretty awesome. I don't watch them continuously, so maybe that's a good thing. But that brings back nostalgic moments that I would have otherwise forgotten. So that's a really great time capsule for that, especially hearing my dad and, you know, seeing how my mom was before, you know, dementia has taken over. And just how life was. And I understand when it comes to nostalgia that we're always like, life was so much simpler. Every generation has said that. That's why I'm questioning if Gen Z will. I'm not entirely sure because there's a lot of stuff going on in this world. Not all of it good. There's been a lot of like this upheaval and the way things are to be viewed, and some of it good, some of it not so good. But then again, there was always something going on in some generation for change or for whatever. But I don't know, I think this digital age that we live in, I know I'm taking advantage of it right now, but I don't know if it's necessarily a complete good. Like, there's some awesome things that you can do with this digital world, and believe me, I take advantage of music on demand because I was one of those people with Kazaa and Napster, because, you know, you didn't want to buy a whole complete album when you only liked one song. So now I can go on and just search like billions of songs and find ones that I couldn't otherwise find. It's pretty awesome. Like, so in that respect, I understand. And YouTube, finding some old videos and some old interviews with people that haven't been around for ages, and you get to see things that you've never seen before. So I understand that archival database and instant recall goodness that it is. But with good there is bad, and that's everything. Good and bad. I can see all the good in it. I can also see the bad. So nostalgia, I think, is a point of comfort for those who wish for a time that it was what they remember, and it's kind of like a bubble that they live in. I've been guilty of living in that bubble for a very long time, to the point where I'm constantly looking back rather than looking forward. So I am doing a lot better with moving forward and, you know, looking towards the future rather than it just be like, well, it was like this all the time, and how can we bring that back? Like, some of the stuff, yes, okay, like I love like nostalgic little things that I can find. I just bought my son like all the original NES systems. You know, like, even though we have these awesome games that are out there with immersive, like, great graphics and story, yet here we are, we want to like going back to, you know, a flat screen and some 8-bit music. You know, it's just like, sometimes that's all you want, and I get that. So it's nice to have it, but I also enjoy the new things too. So nostalgia, I've been guilty of heavily living in nostalgic things, and check out the podcast to kind of like get that idea. Like, I have a lot more nostalgia on there, but I pulled out my VHS tapes, hence the reason why I mentioned it. And I do it now because I feel like the only way that I can kind of force myself to cry, I mean, believe me, I could probably cry if I sat here long enough and talked about my mom or my dad, and I could probably have some crocodile tears coming out. But sometimes I get so overwhelmed that I think my body just, like I said in the previous one with depression, even if you are severely sad about something or angry, sometimes that emoting it is difficult. Like, your body just doesn't understand what it's doing. So like when I get about to like this, that nostalgia and like thinking about the way that life was, and you know the farm that we had that was taken away, and I get angry, and I feel like life is just severely unfair, and I get like super overwhelmed. I'll sit down and I'll watch these VHS tapes just so I could have like a really, really good crocodile tear cry. Like bad crying, you know, ugly crying. Because I get to hear my dad's voice. I get to see what it was like when my brother was around, even if he was little. That's something that we'll have to go into at a later date with the vlogs. Believe me, I have lots of stories to tell. So nostalgia, been kind of feeling it a little bit recently. Probably because my birthday just happened, just turning 40. Not reevaluating my life. Like I said, age never bothered me, and I love celebrating my birthday. I love celebrating anybody's birthday. I think it's a great thing, and I think everybody should be afforded that opportunity. And it was always like a big thing in my house. It doesn't matter how old you are, you're gonna have a birthday party. Gosh darn it. So it doesn't bother me. I know that the inevitability that there will be a day that I won't have a birthday. That scares the crap out of me. But hopefully that's a while away. But I know that it will go fast because these 40 years, 4 decades have gone pretty darn fast. But a lot has happened, so I have a lot to talk about. So next episode, I know I promised I'm still working on it, a video not memorial because she's still around, but a dedication to my mom. But she deserves a well organized and well scripted video, and just I think I want to do like a narrative video. So I think that's what I'm going to work on. I think that'll just be a special offshoot from the vlog. So next episode, I'm going to be talking about some embarrassing moments of the school days. I've got quite a few of those, especially from somebody who was bullied. I do have a lot of embarrassing moments. So stay tuned if you want to check it out. It'll be next week. I originally had wanted to get these vlogs out every Sunday because I thought I would have time over the weekend. But I had first of all, it was my birthday. It was my birthday weekend, so I just let myself chill for a weekend instead of running around doing a million different things. I kept up with my blog posts, though, so check them out. And, but I will get these vlogs out once a week. I just cannot promise it will be Sunday, just because life always gets in the way. So, yeah, so subscribe, please, like the video, comment if you have any suggestions or stories to share about nostalgia. I would love to hear from you. And I hope that I will get these edited and nicely put together with some pizzazz to them, rather than it just being, like I said, a talking head. But I'm trying for the content, so we'll see what happens. So thank you so much for channeling. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. And if you would like and subscribe to the video and the channel, I would appreciate it. I am new to this, so like, subscribe. I know I will have things on there. And I will be linking my blog and podcast and my social media links in the bottom, so in the description. So please check them out. Have a follow, check them out, comment. I appreciate all the feedback. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week. Bye.